Sorry.
So thank you all for coming today. TGX, great event. Thank you all for coming out. We're basically going to be the Mixed VA panel today. So we have a lot of wonderful voice actors who we'll introduce in just a second here. To introduce ourselves, my name is Sam. I'm the president of Trident Gaming. I'm a fourth year here at UCSD.
And I'm Sebastian Galin. I'm an officer. I'm running the Indie Game Showcase over in the Marshall Room. You should definitely check that out. I'm a fourth year and psychology major at UCSD.
So we have a lovely panel of 4 VAs here for us today. So if the panelists could each of you just introduce yourselves. We'll start over on our end and work our way over to the other side. Introduce your name, some of the roles you've played, some of the characters you've played, and maybe just a silly fact about yourselves. So we'll start here.
Alrighty, I'm Inez Quinones. I am a voice actress, obviously. I play Mirko in My Hero Academia, Kimberly in Street Fighter 6, coming out next week. I play Rita in Pokemon Snap, Nifl in Fire Emblem Heroes, and those are like the gaming ones I'm thinking of, which I'm running out of. But interesting fact about me, or silly fact, I don't. Oh yeah, Rika Jujutsu Kaisen too. Yeah, I voiced 2 Rikas actually, but that's the popular one. I don't know. I have kittens and I love them, and I'm fostering some, and they're the best. It's not. Yes.
Aww.
Yeah, cats.
Cats. Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Hi. My name is Allegra Clark. I am also a voice actor. I know it's shocking. I'm known for Beto in Genshin Impact, Dorothea and Shamir in Fire Emblem 3 Houses.
Best girls.
Best girls. Marisa in Street Fighter 6, also coming out next week. Josephine Montelier in Dragon Age Inquisition.
Another best girl.
Bloodhound Apex Legends, and more. I don't know. I don't have a brain anymore. And my fun fact is that since we're all talking about our majors, I was once upon a time a theater major at Northwestern University and an Italian minor.
Ooh, nice.
My name is Kelly Baskin. I'm also a voice actor.
Oh my God, what?
Hey.
What? It's like this is a voice actor panel or
It's
something.
crazy.
Next you're going to tell me Jonah's a voice actor?
No,
I'm just a drummer.
So my name's Kelly. I voice Amber in Genshin Impact, Letizia and Lyre in Fire Emblem, Kieran in Gunvolt 3, Melodia in Disgaea 6, and Margot in Rainbow High, and other ones. What?
You reminded me.
I reminded
you.
you.
You forgot your Jujutsu Kaisen.
I'm also in Jujutsu Kaisen. Milky Jujutsu Kaisen. Sorry.
Calm down.
Okay, I know this is about you. I'm sorry.
Well, fun fact about me is that at Christmas time, I only listen to the Jimmy Buffett Christmas album.
That's all
Dude,
you
wasting
listen
away
to?
No
back in
other Christmas
Margaritaville.
music.
Oh wait,
Not even
no
Mariah
other
Carey?
music, or
No,
just the Jimmy Buffett.
just the Jimmy
just
Buffett
that.
Christmas album.
Nothing else.
And jazz. That's it.
Okay.
And you'll just like cover your ears
Yeah.
if you hear anything.
Yeah, I'm like, absolutely not.
Oh God! All I want for Christmas is you. No.
No. All I want for Christmas is Jimmy Buffett. All right.
Hi, my name is Jonah Scott. I'm a voice actor.
Oh God!
Surprise!
Yes.
You didn't know that?
There are too many of us.
Many of us. There's like 6 out there. I voice Aiden Caldwell, the player character in Dying Light 2. I voice Legoshi in Beastars, which is an anime. I voice Joe in Skate the Infinity, which is also an anime. Let's see. I voice Randy Orlando in Trails of Cold Steel. Count Verandis Ravenwatch in Elder Scrolls. And then there's others. You know, you got to Google. You got the sum of the world's knowledge in your pocket. That's cool. A fun fact about me is I'm also a VTuber. Alpha Aniki. I'm a rock star, dude, and we have a band. Midnight Hell. We're on Spotify. Check it out.
Nice. I did not know you were a VTuber.
Yep. Have been for like 7 months.
Wow.
Mhm. So yeah, and I don't keep my name a secret. So look me up. Yeah. Good stuff. Question time.
Yeah, it is question time. So we're going to move on to the character-focused question section. So we're going to introduce some character-based questions. Before we start, just kind of think about who you'd want to answer, like portraying that role. So for each question, each VA is going to have the opportunity to answer. So, starting with the very first question, what is your favorite voice line or thing to say as the character that you are?
You call, I answer. Kimberly.
I can't pick a character. No. Y'all want Vado? I don't know. Vado? Yeah. Okay. Cool. You ever want to trade tactics? I'm always ready.
What a meanie! Amber from Genshin Impact.
Just clip that.
I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but I'll say it anyway. You son of a bitch. That is actually 4 characters that I have that say that.
Oh, great.
And I try and get it into everything because I love saying it.
Recently, I was working on something, and the director was like, kind of explaining the context of the scene. And he was like, "Oh yeah, it's basically you're saying, like that sounds like a you problem, like the way you always say it." And I looked at him and I was like, "Can we switch the line to that? Can I say that sounds like a you problem?" And he was like, "Okay, you can say it."
But can you say it in 3/4 of a second?
Well, it fit the flaps.
Okay.
It fit the flaps. So yeah,
There you go.
All right.
I was very happy.
What a meanie.
It is my favorite.
What a meanie. What a meanie, you son of
It's really good.
a son of a bitch.
Wait, what was your line?
You call, I answer.
You call, I answer. What a meanie. That sounds like a you. Oh God.
Son of a bitch.
It all works.
Sorry, never bring voice actors.
Oh.
I don't know why you were like, let's invite voice actors to talk to each other. That's a mistake.
This is our room now.
Yeah, you're stuck. You're stuck. If any of you leave, I'm gonna be very disappointed.
I'm watching you. I
I'm
can
the
see.
captain
We have
now.
eyes on the exits.
I'm gonna call out anyone who's walking out, and I'm gonna narrate the experience.
Do we have another question?
Yeah, right?
We're just entertaining ourselves up here.
Y'all just seem to be so into it. I didn't want to interrupt you.
We will keep going.
Please,
So
please interrupt us.
All right, so another question. What are some characteristics in your character voice that are unique to them?
do you want to go first?
It's just me. It's just me. Oh no, Beto is really just me. Like she drops in pitch a little bit compared to my speaking voice, but it's really not far off from who I am. And honestly, when it comes down to it, I don't try to develop a voice for a character. I just kind of look at the character and then whatever starts organically coming out is usually what they end up going with. Maybe they'll be like a little higher, a little lower, a little younger, a little grumpier, whatever it is. But Beto is just me in a nutshell. One of the closest characters I've worked to who, like, me as a person.
Yeah.
Those are always fun.
Oh yeah, it's great. Very liberating.
Validating. You know, Kimberly, I remember in the sides for Kimberly, when I received them, they wanted a Zendaya sound, which...
Interesting.
It's so not what I did, but I'm like, okay, you want a younger girl sound, I got you. So I did that, and then I think it just got pitched higher, like when we actually got into the recording session, because she's just so excited all the time. So yeah, my voice is normally I'm more chill, I'm more relaxed, and then she's like, "Bushin, you call, I answer," and she's super excited all the time, and I can be excited. I can be excited sometimes. In my normal voice, I'm excited.
Amber is my caffeinated voice. Like when I've had too much caffeine and I'm really excited about something. She's pitched up a little bit from my normal speaking voice, but it is very similar. Like I feel like Amber is very much, very close to who I am or who I think I am as a person. I guess other people can tell me if that's true.
No,
but
you're like mean in real life.
I'm really mean in real life.
What a
nasty
meanie.
person.
Yeah.
What a meanie.
What a meanie. That's me.
What a meanie, you son of a bitch. I deliberately asked for her table to be as far away from mine as possible.
Yeah. He's like, I have to look at you. What was the question? Sorry.
We were talking about memory earlier, and that's
any
that's
any char-
Sorry.
Anything in your character's voice that is like unique to them. Like, how do you prepare
Unique.
for that?
Yes, unique. I feel like Amber is just very like helpful all the time. She is encouraging, and I'm a little more sassy. So she's my excited, caffeinated self, and I feel like she's just always trying to be helpful, and that is a little unique to her.
I have two. One is Aiden in Dying Light 2, and the fun part about voicing like the player character, like the first-person character in a video game, is one, you have a crap load of lines, and it's insane. So you have a lot of time to build like a character. And the people at Techland were really cool because they came to me as like the draft voice guy. I was like a scratch track guy. I wasn't actually going to be the character. And they're like, hey, so we like your voice, and we don't know what we want to do for this player character because right now it's just a blank slate because a lot of player characters are you projecting onto the character, you know? That's why Link doesn't talk as much. It was neat because I'm a gamer myself, so I was able to be like, this is what I want a game protagonist to sound like. And they're like, okay, sure, we'll just make the character around that. And I'm like, what? You're just going to design the character around my voice? Like, yeah, do you have a headshot? We're going to kind of make him look like you, too. And I'm like, what?
No.
Okay, sure. That's a likeness fee, by the way.
So you got hired to do Scratch and then got to actually keep the role.
Yeah.
That doesn't always happen, but like it can happen in the industry.
That's
And
amazing,
that was
yeah.
me. That was me. We recorded all the Scratch in my like closet in my house, and by closet I mean this like 3 foot by 5 foot like sliding glass door like closet
bigger than my
with a
closet.
mirror.
Yeah, was this a
I
pandemic?
have to, and there's a bar right there, so I have to like crane my neck with the microphone. This is almost every session, by the way. And it's rough, but I was recording all the Scratch tracks in there.
Pandemic project?
And-
Pre-pandemic?
Oh, yeah. This was well, it started in the pandemic.
Okay.
And I was just begging them to be the main character. in the closet, I'm like, I love your stuff, Techland. I love every single game you've made. Dead Island was great. Riptide. I played all the older stuff that they made too. They made like this top-down GTA-like clone that was really fun. But after a while, they were just like they're super bro-y too in like a good way. And they were just like, yeah, man, let's get you in there and try it out. And they flew me over to Poland. We did.
I want to go to Poland.
Yeah, it was great. I got to work on their mocap stage. They gave me a tour of their entire their entire like campus that they have there. They got a slide in their kitchen, which is really neat.
So you're a unicorn?
I was a
'Cause
unicorn.
That is wild.
Yeah, no, that was the luckiest thing that has ever happened to me.
Did you
is
record the
seeing
bulk of the game here though? Like
Yeah, I was inside.
inside?
We
Oh,
we
yeah.
recorded everything inside. But yeah, that was amazing. And then another one I have is Count Verandus Ravenwatch, who's like this British kind of he's a vampire, right? But there's since it's fantasy, there's no necessary like accent that you have to use. It's like whatever you want, and there's like a combination of 9 different regions of Europe here in my mouth.
Just
I call it
fancy.
somewhere not here accent,
Yeah.
right? It's wherever you want to be, right?
I always call it Accentlandia.
yeah.
It's I'm from Accentlandia. Yeah.
It's just whatever, and it's fun to do things like with your tongue and everything. And you do, where is that? I don't know. Like, where is that from? It's just neat. It sounds cool. So those are some unique things, I guess. Cheers.
Awesome. I would
that
love
blood?
to
Be
visit this
honest.
Accentlandia.
Yeah.
Yes.
Finlandia.
Welcome to
Accentlandia.
Accent
Sounds like a great place.
Population us.
All right, we're gonna get into some career-focused questions. So if there's anybody in the audience like interested in pursuing voice acting, interested in pursuing kind of this way to get into the media industry. So for the first question, what made you want to become a voice actor, and how did you get your role in the voice acting industry? And why don't we start on the other side of the panel?
Oh, okay. I'll just keep talking then. I started doing voice acting online. I was a musical theater major at Western Kentucky University, a directional
Nerd.
school. Yeah, right. Musical theater nerd. But I also minored in like broadcast journalism too, so I have a lot of like radio experience. I did radio in college. Super nerdy, right? But then I was working at a deli. I did a lot of part-time jobs. So I worked at a deli. I worked at Staples. I worked at like a mom and pop store. And Bowling Green, Kentucky is a very small town. It's like funded entirely by the college that's there. So I worked all kinds of tiny gigs like that, making enough money to pay rent. But I swiftly started making more money doing like voice acting from my dorm room than I did at like the deli that I worked at, and I was like, okay, so there might be something to this, but I have a musical theater degree, right? What am I gonna do with this? Went to New York City and sat in on a bunch of auditions in like huge theaters and stuff, and I hated it. I hated watching those people get up there and then pouring their soul on stage, and then just okay, next. And it's like, what? Oh my God, that person was like amazing. Can we celebrate that for a second? Like,
No,
and
man, cattle calls are rough. Cattle calls
hated it.
are rough.
And I didn't know what to do because I had this degree, so I figured I'll try voice acting. And I moved out to LA like the next year, and I obviously I had like friends there, and I had like a little bit of money saved up, and I was able to like have some runway and stuff. Don't just like pick up and move to Los Angeles. Yeah, right.
No, don't
You're
do
gonna
that.
arrive at the Greyhound bus station and like, okay, what next?
LA is too expensive for that. Yeah.
But yeah, and I started working. I did, and there is a tier list. Like you started like doing Walla and background voices and things like that, and then you maybe will get the opportunity to do a Man 1A we were talking about. Like an incidental character.
Honestly, Man 1A is like my favorite role.
Thank you.
of
I really tried.
Yeah.
Every role I tried pour my heart out. But yeah, and it's all about showing, like, testing your mettle, showing your merit, showing up, making sure you're doing things. For a long time, at least like the first 3 years I was here, I had the mentality of keeping my head down and my mouth shut and just doing the work and letting my work speak for itself rather than like me speaking for my work, just letting whatever I did, sound good, and then just let people hear it and be like, oh, well, that sounds good. So yeah, it was a very slow burn, but as soon as it the powder keg blew up, and it's just like we got to start a business now, and you got to make sure you manage all your funds, and you got to make sure are you doing the right things? Like, are you making sure that I didn't have a business degree? I have a musical theater degree, right? They didn't teach you anything in that, but
Nope.
yeah, that was my path to where I am now. I'm 29, and we're just starting.
Yeah. Yay. That's great. We should talk about musical theater.
Sure, yeah,
So
love to.
I also have a degree in musical theater performance. And I was living in Chicago, and I graduated, and I was like, I'm going to be on Broadway.
What did you go to?
I went to Columbia College.
Oh, Columbia. Okay.
Yeah. You went to Northwestern.
Yeah.
No, not very, very far away. So I did that, and then I graduated. I was a fitness and yoga instructor, and I was going to auditions and like belting my face off, and also teaching and not warming up and not taking care of my voice. And I got vocal nodes, which is a vocal injury where you get calluses on your vocal folds, so they can't vibrate properly, which means you can't phonate properly, which means you can't make sound properly. There we go. So then when I couldn't talk, I took some like writing classes. I took the whole writing program at Second City Chicago. And then when I could talk but I still couldn't sing, I was like, I'll take a voiceover class and maybe I'll do this on the side while I'm on Broadway. And then I liked it and I was like, I'll take another class. And then I did. And then I made a demo, and then I was already with an on-camera agent, and so I gave them my voiceover demo, started booking jobs. I moved to a bigger voiceover agency, and then I was like, this is great, and this pays more than musical theater, and it's not as soul-sucking as musical theater.
I can actually pay my rent.
I can pay my rent. Well, not yet at that point, but I was making money. And my husband at the time was working in music, so we were like, okay, well, let's move to Los Angeles. That's a place where both of us can grow our careers. So I moved to LA. I was still teaching yoga, and I worked at a dubbing studio started as their production coordinator while my friend was on a can contract in Alaska, which is, yes, it actually happened.
I remember this.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then...
We met.
Yes. And then she came back, and they were like, well, we have like a part-time receptionist job open. And I was like, well, I just moved here, and like, I don't know anyone in voiceover, so this is a great way to like meet people who are doing voiceover. So I was there for a while. I also had 4 jobs, and then now I'm doing voiceover full time. So I don't get a vocal injury. That's not my recommendation.
So if you want to hit it big, you gotta get nodes.
Don't get nodes. Don't get nodes. But it is like the most terrible thing that happened to me, but also the best thing because now I'm here, so I can't even be like too mad about it. But don't go that route. Just don't do it.
Something I think you'll notice is that every single one of our stories is different. There's no path that's like yellow brick road, you know.
It seems like all of ours is musical theater at the moment, though. So.
Oh no.
Stage acting seems to be a common thread so far.
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm about to throw a big old wrench in
I
this
can't
one.
wait.
Oh boy. Okay, so I come from a performing background. My dad made commercials, so I grew up doing commercials as a little baby Allegra in New York, and did that. But then I was like, I want to be an astrophysicist.
That's a big
Which
leap.
I almost did.
It's a big leap.
Until I realized I was doing musical theater. And I realized I want to go on Broadway. So I went to Northwestern. I went to theater school. And I did not get accepted into the musical theater certificate program. And I was like, okay, well,
Baloney.
do I have to reassess my life at all? And the way that I decided I wanted to do voiceover was that I was a big old nerd who liked playing video games. And I was like, wait, they have to like bring people in to play these characters. What if I did that? Like, I could do that. It's like there's certain things that I remember the first time it occurred to me that someone had to be paid to be the self-checkout
Yeah.
voice at Target, and I was
Yeah.
like, that's someone went in and got paid to do that. You know,
Yeah,
it's
probably more money than you got for a video game.
possibly. I bet that shit's on you though. So,
Oh, that's
you
true.
know,
That's true.
So I don't
Especially
know.
the grocery store stuff.
Yeah.
Well, my friend's the voice of Kroger, so
Oh.
she gets a lot.
Oh, okay. Well,
Anyway,
be the voice of Kroger. That's the moral of this story. But I also had crippling anxiety. So when I moved back to New York, I tried to, take classes, specifically voiceover focused classes, and, get a demo and do all that stuff and start putting myself out there. But the crippling anxiety took over. And eventually I just got really sad and went, all right, I'm going to work in like marketing or social media for a tech company. So let's move out to Seattle. At the time I was dating someone who lived there, so I was like, I'm going to move out to be with her and, start my life. Except I'd done something kind of wacky the summer before, which was that at the time I was a cosplayer, and I went to San Diego Comic-Con in 2011 where BioWare was promoting no, it was 2012. It was 2011 to 2012. But either way, they were doing some Dragon Age DLC had just come out, and I was cosplaying as a character from Dragon Age, and I was like, oh man, like David Gator, you're so cool. I love your work. And one of my friends was like, oh, she does voiceover, and I was like, thank you so much for being the one to say that, because then I didn't have to be that.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm a voice actor. I really want to do this. Oh my gosh. I didn't have to do that, which was great. And he was like, "Oh yeah. What kind of accents can you do? Because it's a fantasy game." And I was like, "Well, I can do the standard RP, Cockney, etc. But I also speak fluent French and Italian." And he was like, "Oh, we're gonna need some of those accents." And about a year later, he said, "Are you still interested in auditioning for Dragon Age?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'd love to." And oopsies! Shortly after my last day at the company I was working for, it was like the following Tuesday. My last day had been Friday. Tuesday, I wake up and I'd gotten a DM on Twitter from the lead writer, and he was like, "So excited to have you come in." And I was like, "Wait, what?"
What?
And he was like, "Oh, Caroline didn't email you yet?" And I was like, "No." And they cast me as a major NPC. So I flew out to Los Angeles. I still hadn't moved to Seattle, but that was still my game plan. I flew out to LA, I did a session, and after the session, they were like, "Can you reread for this one character that you had read for before?" And that was Josephine. And so I whoopsied into a major character and love
Dude,
interest
oops, buddies.
in 2014's Game of the Year. I
Let's
just
go.
whoopsied my way into it. And then after it came out, again, I was still working like desk jobs in Seattle, because I was just like, okay, well, that was fun. I'm going to, keep doing the thing that gives me rent money. Yay. And then it came out and I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to be a voice actor. It's all been, and now I'm here.
amazing.
But yeah, my particular advice in that way is like, man, that is not a very common way to get into the industry. Like, don't just go up to game devs and have your friend go, that's a voice actor. That's really not, that was like kind of a once in a lifetime thing. But I find that having a passion for the medium can at least open doors for you. Because, there are definitely people who enjoy their work but don't necessarily care so much about the finished product, because it's like, I don't really play the games I'm in, whatever. But when you have that much passion and enthusiasm paired with all of the training and hard work that you did to get good at it in the first place, there's something infectious about it that people want to work with.
Yeah,
I
I wouldn't be in Dying Light 2 if I didn't say every other session how much I loved the IP that I was working on,
Yeah.
and like providing citing direct examples and being like, oh, is this what you want? Do you want this from this? Or I remember this part of the lore and things like that. And they really latched onto that.
Yeah, and it's possible for that to also be a little overwhelming. So it's a very, very fine line. But people like working with people who care about the work they're doing. And I think that that's a very, that's also something that, like, I think that there's a lot that could be said in, like, different creative industries and in different fields, like in game development, where that people expect that passion to carry you through 60-hour work weeks and lead to burnout. But very fortunately in our industry, it's fairly regulated, and, if you're working a 60-hour voiceover week, then
Good on you.
God bless.
congratulations on your money.
Yeah, that'd be great.
But generally speaking, I think that at least within acting fields, I think that people like seeing the excitement, and they like seeing the fact that we care.
Yeah.
Because it's not, when you go in and it's not just another job, and you're not just going like, all right, I'm here to do my lines, but you're into the character, you're into the story, and you have that passion, that also lends to a better performance.
Yeah.
So,
Totally.
yeah.
Did you also get into voice acting through musical theater?
Yeah, did you also do musical theater?
No.
Oh,
Well, get off the
Okay.
stage.
Combo breaker. All right, I said I was going to comment on people leaving. I did
Bye. See ya.
technically say I was going to do that. It's okay, and you're valid, but I am a little sad right now. You're making me tear up.
I've had a bad day because of you.
And they're gone. Okay. Go ahead, Anera.
All right, go for it.
All right.
This was amazing.
So yeah, no, I did not. I wasn't a theater kid at all. I also had crippling anxiety. And yeah, I grew up in Florida, and Florida is not particularly known for anything other than racism and I guess Disney.
I guess
And yeah,
Alligators
And Jimmy Buffett.
and meth.
All right.
Okay.
All right, back to your story.
and yeah, no, my first love was writing. That was the first creative thing I held on to. But I think something that I kept from my childhood that has stayed with me is the fact that I just love creating, and I loved imagining things. I used to imagine I was Hermione Granger, when I was a little kid. And I remember, actually, my dad told me that when I was 3, a microphone fell on my head.
That's a cool story.
Right there.
Yeah, and I see it's a tape recorder and all that stuff. So I liked the idea of entertaining and being in that creative space, but I always did it in my own little bubble because I didn't really have friends growing up, and I just kind of kept to myself. And then we ended up moving. We moved a lot, so I never really got comfortable anywhere to join the theater community. And I tried a couple of times. But at the time, my social anxiety was so bad, it just, there was no way that I was working. So, of course, I was a nerd, as folks with anxiety tend to also be nerds.
Yeah, that is a common thing, isn't it? Oh, boy.
It's I'm not accepted. Screw it, I'll just
I'm
be
not
into
accepted,
anime.
but I love this video game.
I love anime. These waifus, oh my gosh. So yeah, and of course we're grew up with the internet, and the internet, you can do anything now because of the internet. You can learn how to do music. You can write fan fiction. You can be a TikToker. There's so many things. And so for me, my first thing was writing fan fiction.
Okay. What fandom?
Nice.
Yeah.
What's your AO3
First
tags?
one
Top 3
was
tags.
Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. That was my very first one.
Amazing.
Cool.
But through that, I made friends, and one of those friends was a voice actor, and he was super into the whole online voice acting community, and I was like, oh, cool, this is a thing. And so of course I was like, I could do this too, because I was 12. I was a baby, right?
You were a baby. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I was a baby when I got into this. And yeah, and I got into it. I did it as a fan. I did fan dubs, comic dubs, all those good things. I had a really terribly mixed demo that I sent to Funimation when I was 12.
Oh my god.
And they actually emailed me back.
Yo.
They did.
Yeah, they did. And they were like, oh, if you're local, come on in. But I was living in Georgia. And I
Just say yes and fly out like everyone else.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, no, I go to my dad, and I'm like, hey, so I was looking up jobs, and you could transfer over to Texas, and then I could be there, and then I could work like in Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood or something. He's like, yeah, no. So that didn't work out.
No, and you're 12, so you couldn't buy a plane
No.
and just go.
No, I couldn't. No, not at all. But I still did it on and off. It was a hobby, and I was more focused on school, anyways, because that is the thing that we are told will make us succeed. You need to go to school. You need to have top grades. You need to go to college and do your best, and then maybe you could have a decent life. And so I was doing that. And
But also, we're like really proud of you all for being university students, and you're working really hard.
oh yeah, no, you're valid.
Just like, you guys are so valid, and you're
We got
really
out. You
cool.
can too.
I became a psychology major because I figured out that was something I very much enjoyed. I loved the idea of helping people. And so I was doing that, and I was switching jobs. I worked at recruitment in my college for a couple years. Then I worked as a mental health technician at a mental health facility for also a couple years. But I was still doing voiceover as a hobby. And so at this point, it's been like 10-ish years that I've been doing it casually, and I was starting to get paid like online, like doing like visual novels or whatever. They're like, hey, you want to do this thing? We'll give you like $20, and I'm like, sure. And I did things for $20 or maybe more, and then I got I think I'd been around so long in that kind of aspiring amateur field that folks that had moved on from that and were actually professionally in the industry still remembered me, and they're like, oh, hey, we have an opportunity to give you an anime audition, here you go. And so I would audition for things, and nothing would come out of it, so I didn't expect anything, blah, blah, blah. And then my first booking was this cute little anime show called Kimono Friends, and I voiced Crested Porcupine, and at the time, I was still working as a mental health technician, so I just flew over to Texas. And I was like, okay, I'm going to record this, I'm going to do this, and I loved it. I loved it. And,
Sounds familiar.
yeah, and it's like, I love psychology, but it felt like voiceover was calling to me more. And so I was kind of put at a point where it's like, oh, it's either I move forward with psychology or I answer the call to voiceover, and I answered the call, and then I just kind of got flung into it, and my second thing that I booked was Ruby, and then the pandemic happened, and that helped a lot because I hadn't made the move to Texas or LA, and I was able to record at home, at the time in Florida, and so I did Mirko and Nessa and all these other roles while working from home, and I only moved to LA like last year.
Yeah.
Well,
The pandemic really helped a lot of people who were remote and not living in any of those hubs, because it made it, we all, the three of us were living in LA, but it's not like we were going into studios. In-studio work was like very occasionally happened over 2020, but like didn't really become a thing again until 2021 once everyone got vaccinated. That's when the transition to in-studio really started happening. So during that time, it didn't matter where you were as long as you had a good enough setup.
Most of the anime roles that I have are exclusively because of the pandemic. I wouldn't have been able to do that if they didn't open up the remote doors. I the things you probably know me for in anime were all recorded remote.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we can all agree, like, accessibility after the pandemic, it's definitely gone way up, especially for students, too.
Yeah.
But speaking of students, wow, transition.
Nice.
We're going
Love
to
a
take
good
some
transition.
student questions. So if you have any questions for our panelists, we have approximately 22 minutes remaining in this panel. So we will gladly field questions. If not, me and my moderator will continue talking.
And we
But
can do so many bits.
I mean,
go ahead and raise your hands if you have any questions. And then if our mic runners could run mics.
Do I?
bye.
We love you. Thanks for joining us.
not the worst.
Jeff.
Oh, Jeff!
Yeah, we know your
All right,
name.
all right,
Drive
Jeff.
safe,
You
Jeff.
You can walk out, but I will be commenting on it the entire time, Jeff.
Drive safe.
What? Drive safe.
Bye, Jeff.
I can't believe you. leaving our panel right when it gets to
Hey,
the
we got one though,
audience
came in, so-
questions.
We do have a question, though.
Okay, Jeff. Okay.
Oh, hi.
Hi.
Oh gosh, I'm so nervous reading the voice.
No, don't be. As
I'm
you
just a
can tell,
dude,
we're
man.
not very serious people.
No.
Yeah,
I am. I'm also very mean.
You meanie.
What's your
You
question?
son of a bitch.
I just wanted to say thank you so much for your work. Like, I love your voices, especially with Legoshi. Like, I am a Beastars fan, so thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
My question is like, what's the difference with like voicing in anime and like in video games? Which one do you prefer more?
Ooh, well, it's honestly a stylistic thing because you can have, for instance, a video game that is a JRPG. So from a style standpoint, like you're still kind of doing a lot of the same stylistic choices. But the biggest difference is that in video games, you don't necessarily have the same degree of time constraints. When you're doing anime, the picture's already locked, the flaps are locked, nothing is going to change about the image. So you have however much time, as long as the flaps are moving, to deliver the lines. And the lines can be tweaked and changed and whatever to match the timing, but whatnot. Whereas in video games, sometimes you're working to picture, sometimes you're working to like a duration match, which is, the source audio, if you're working from something out of Japan or China or Korea or whatever, is roughly, 2.5 seconds. So you're conveying this exact thought in 2.5 seconds. But then you also have a bunch of lines that are called wild, that you're just like, hey, you have however much time feels appropriate for the line and the circumstance to just act. But also another thing about video games is that you don't always have picture, so you don't necessarily know, like, where am I in this space? How many people am I talking to? If you're lucky, they'll say, oh, you're speaking to a crowd of 50 people. A good director might say, hey, imagine that the person is about 5 feet away, so that you have some of those contextual things that help when you don't have any kind of visual aid. But, like I said, you have no time or fewer time constraints, so it gives you a lot more freedom in terms of the recording and process, the acting choices you can make, because you can decide you're going to take a breath in a spot and it's not going like, oh, there's no hitch there, so we're going to need you to do that again, but with no hitch, things like that.
Yeah, she said it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great job, Allegra.
I like talking about technical stuff.
I think the
We
microphone's
got a mic mobile, so we'll get to you in a sec.
Hey guys.
Yes.
My name's Akeem. Nice to meet you.
Hey, Keem.
Hey.
My question for you guys. Is any kind of creative industry is kind of you have moments where you have your highs and you have your lows. But I feel like when you're first starting, there's a point where you're just like, oh no, like I made the right choice by deciding to do this. Is there any particular moment that you can remember where you sat down after, all the rejection or whatever, or maybe after being in for a little bit, but not quite feeling like you're in the right spot, or if you belong, where you were like, no, this is what I want to do?
Yeah, Beastars was that for me. Because before that, I was just doing, incidentals and Walla and stuff, and I kept asking myself, is this going to be it? Like, are you going to be doing, background voices in movies, which is cool, or even just like, localized German television that no one's going to see? We do. There's stuff that we do that you will never see, like all sorts of live action dubbing and things like that. And it's like that's what I was doing, and my passion was in anime, and acting in general, just as a craft, and getting to do Beastars, where we didn't necessarily ignore the flaps, but they were so specific, there was nothing we could really do to make it work the way it worked in Japanese, because they recorded and motion captured the entire thing on a sound stage with like scripts and like stage play. It was all like rotoscoped and stuff. So that's impossible to recreate in a localization. So the director was just like, act your ass off. And I'm like, that's something I do really well. So he just gave me like carte blanche to do pretty much whatever I want. I could change lines if they didn't feel that they were natural enough, and if they came out more naturally in a different way, he's just like, go with it. Go with whatever you want, whatever it feels like coming out, and if it sounds fine, we'll keep it. I got to add, all sorts of different lines that weren't necessarily in the Japanese. And normally, anime fans would be really averse to that, you changing the lore of what's happening. But it was almost universally embraced. They're like, you should totally watch the English dub of Beastars because the guy who's voicing Legoshi kicks ass. And that was a validation I feel like I needed from pretty much everybody, because before, nobody can answer that question for you. Nobody can be like, am I good enough? It's like, I don't know. No, somebody has to roll a dice on you, and if it comes up like nat 20, you did it, right? Somebody has to have the right character come along and the right time with the right actor, and it has to work like that. And it's a lot of working towards that goal, and it's a war of attrition sometimes, where you're just like, I need to just keep doing you do the crappy stuff, and then eventually you'll get this cool, awesome thing that you can just put all your acting juice in and have it come out absolutely delicious. So yeah, I think Beastars was the moment where I'm just like, I can do this for a living. People think I can do this for a living. Let's keep going.
Yeah. Mine was when I was cast as Amber in Genshin Impact. I had 4 jobs, and I was, pursuing voice acting, and I just remember calling my mom, sobbing. I was like, should I become an accountant? Like, I'm exhausted. I'm tired. I've been working at this for a long time. I've been an actor for a long time, and I'm tired. And I remember when I got the email being like, you booked it, and it was the first name I had in a game. And so I was like, oh my gosh, I get a name instead of just Doctor Number 3 or Werewolf 17 or whatever. And then I was like, maybe I can quit one of my jobs. And then the pandemic happened, and I lost all of them. So I was like, great, I will do this full time now. But I think it was that, just being like, finally, I got a named role in something, whether it was a video game or any type of medium. I was working on some smaller stuff, and I was like, yes, I have a name. And then the director was also like, this is going to be a big game. And I'm not really a gamer. And I was like, oh, okay. And then it came out, I was like, oh, okay. So yeah, I know that y'all probably know me for Amber, but that was at least the turning point for me. But I was real tired before, so.
I took because when I was living in Seattle, one of the things I did was I was a contract worker at Amazon. And contracts in the state of Washington are 11 months. You cannot work more than 11 months without them hiring you full time, which of course they didn't. Because I have a lot of feelings about Amazon as a corporation. But I took what would have been an annual salary, basically like the $17.50 that I was making an hour, and I multiplied that into what would have been an annual salary, not like salary obviously, but like if I'd been working 40 hours a week every week. And when I realized I was making more money doing VO than that, I was like, it's sustainable. Mm-hmm. It's sustainable. And there are ups and downs, and there are definitely months that are slower where I'm like, I can't order takeout. Where I'm just like, I shouldn't do anything fun. Sorry, I sing a lot. It's that musical theater kid thing, right?
You get me going. Don't get me going, though. Don't get me started.
It's just like, maybe I shouldn't go to the Ren Fair and buy myself a new dress because I don't have as many sessions.
Or room to put it. LA is tiny.
But when I realized that it was sustainable, that I could make as much or more doing something that actually made me happy, I was like, okay. I made the right decision. Because again, that crippling anxiety thing means that no matter what I do, no matter how many people say I'm a great actor or whatever, there's always like one person who's just like, she's kind of overrated. I'm like, well, that's it. I'm overrated.
Yeah,
that's
the one guy on Twitter, Twitter Andy,
We also send auditions out into the ether. Like, we don't get feedback from our auditions.
No.
We send out thousands of auditions, and we don't know if we're close to making it. We don't know if they liked it or if they laughed. Like, it's not like doing an on-camera or musical theater audition where, like, you do something funny and somebody laughs, right?
You could be top 3 and
you
never
have no
hear
idea.
about it.
You never know. And every once in a while, I've literally had to, like, I did an audition thing that was just like a multi-month audition process where I went like twice in. It was for a performance capture thing. And it was like I went in twice. Like I had 3 auditions total, 2 callbacks, 1 was paid. And it took like 6 months to do, and finally, like, because I had gotten so close, my agent sent an email, and they went with another actor, and that was devastating. By the way, never, it doesn't get.
Oh, I lost Dying Light 2 once because they tried to re-audition the actor, and they're just like, we can't find anybody like you. Sorry, can we have you back? I'm just like, yeah, you can have me back. That's
Yeah,
fine.
like, okay. I have a friend who re-auditioned for a role, and I remember getting that audition, and then she was just like, yeah, they re-auditioned my role, and I got it back, and I didn't have my name on it, and I won it back, and I was just like, good for you.
Wow.
But yeah, no, it's like, and my worst enemy, by the way, because again, I cannot stress this enough. The anxiety is awful. I am on medication, and it's necessary. I'm my own worst critic, as we all are, but I'm just like, there are days where I'm just like, I'm a worthless piece of shit, and I'm not really good at my job. So, knowing that I can at least earn a living doing it is what keeps me going. It's that stability is like, the stability in the instability is what helps me go, all right, at the very least, it's still working. It's still working, so I can still do it.
Yeah.
No matter how much I hate myself. Oh, she hates herself, yes!
Oh man.
What about you?
For me, it's been like little moments. Because I think, it was kind of like, at first when I got into it, it's like, I would just love the opportunity to be anything, right? Like, if I could just be in an anime, that's cool. And then I got that. And so it's like, I found that I've been, like, achieving a lot of, like, goals, which kind of leaves me with, like, less to yearn for or less to work towards. And so now I've kind of shifted towards, I don't really want anything but to feel content with my work and to feel like I'm putting myself out there and to not need that outside validation as much. Because that's kind of like what they teach you in the workshops and stuff that you do. It's like, hey, screw what the casting director wants. What do you want to do, And so that was something I was working on a lot last year, especially. And I feel like I've gotten to that point where it's like, yeah, you know what? I am doing good work. I'm actually content with myself. I don't feel like I need to overthink about what the casting director might want because, I could figure that out. I'm a psychology major, I'm good. But
there is something really empowering about at least being able to go like, look, I don't know how this project is going to do anything, but like I stand by what I did in the session.
yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Just being
for
able to
sure.
walk out going like, all right, like cool. I'm not walking out. The idea of not walking out of a session and going, oh my God, why did I say it that way?
Yeah, no, it just turns into a job a job that you're having fun and engaging with. But you're just like, you get out and you're just like, all right, cool, I'm good at my job. I did what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
It's also like another thing that I had to learn was this is something that is just ingrained from my family and my upbringing, but you are not the sum total of what you do and what your work is. So there was a period of time where I would just go on like BTVA and scroll through the pictures that were there and the credits that I had and be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, I have like 30 like pictured characters on BTVA, which didn't even like have all the characters that I voiced. It's and then that really got to me. So it was like this weird epiphany that I had like creatively, where it's just like I need to start working on my own creative stuff so that I have an outlet and I'm not just like continuously cycling.
Oh, no. I spilled my entire apple juice in a session the other day, all on the studio floor.
What do you do? What do you do? What do you do? You just let it's water.
So it's sticky.
It's just water. Just gonna sit there. I'm gonna let it dry. That's what I'm gonna do. Anyway,
that was great.
you're not the sum total of your work, guys. You are greater than what you produce. You are a human. You are worthy. I love you.
Solidarity.
I didn't even get it on me. That was like.
That's
That was fate.
That's good. Also, and this is true for like I think all of us have expressed this in some capacity. Yo, like have hobbies.
Yeah.
Have hobbies that you don't monetize.
Yes.
That is what I wish somebody told me that.
Oh my God, hustle culture. Like, why is hustle culture a thing?
I loved musical theater. I turned it into a career. I loved yoga. I turned it into a career. I love voice acting. I turned it into a career. You know what I'm not doing? I'm not turning reading into a career.
You know what I'm not doing? I do paint by numbers, and it's so much fun, and it's so relaxing, and I just turn on YouTube videos and I
you
just
sell
paint
them?
by numbers. I absolutely do not sell them. Sometimes I give them as gifts to friends, and it's just this like nice little process that's really like calming for me, and it puts my creative energy and a lot of my like manual creative energy as well, as opposed to just like performance energy.
Yeah,
like something
stuff to do with your
tactile that I
Tactile,
can look at the end and be like, I made this and it feels good. Have things like that that spark joy for you, even if you have to like eke in little moments in which you can actually work on it, because it's good for your mental health.
Truly.
Like, oh god.
With anything you do, not even creative, like burnout is
Real.
it exists in every career.
Yep.
And I think in order to be fulfilled as a person, like you have to have more than your work, because you are more than your work.
You are.
You are.
You are all more than what you are currently studying or the jobs that you do. You are rich, and not necessarily financially, but you know,
I make it be nice.
You are a college
you
student.
all be wealthy and prosperous, but you know, like as individuals, as people, you have so much in here, everywhere that is not something that can be expressed in a shift or a session or
The number of
whatever.
pictures on your BTVA page.
Or how much money you make.
Yeah, it's all part of the wonderful collage of who you are as a person, and I think those things should be celebrated as much as the achievements that you'd have, like how much money you make or what your career is or how long it took you to get a job out of college or anything along those lines.
Yeah.
Because man, like boy, if I tried comparing myself to some of the kid in my grade who got what's the Chicago Theater Award?
Oh, you hadn't asked me.
Yeah. The
Dang it.
the whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one. He won it his senior year of college, and I graduated the same year as him. And I'm just like, how do I
What's his name?
feel like I'm blanking on his name right now?
me
We'll
later.
talk about it later. It's like, how do I feel accomplished as an actor right now, knowing that there are people who are actually working in Chicago
Jeffs.
theater? The Jeffs, yeah, he won.
Jeffs.
He won a Jeff Award as a senior in college, and I'm just
Dang.
sitting here like, man.
That's amazing.
He'll be on NCIS 2 times, and you know,
Yeah.
it's fine. It's
But
fine.
you know what? I make a living doing voiceover. That's pretty dope.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's just like but also I have a cat I love and a boyfriend I love and a family I love and friends I love, and I do paint by numbers and watch dumb YouTube videos, and all of that is just as important as Beto or Bloodhound or Dorothea
And we love you for it.
or Marisa or Man A.
Man 1A.
1A.
He's just as
1A.
important as Lego Sheep.
All right, so we do kind of have to wrap it up, unfortunately.
talk a
So I will give all of the panelists just tiny little amount of time, because we do have about 3 minutes left. Just any parting advice, any parting words. The floor is yours.
Those were some good parting words.
Yeah, that was a pretty baller parting word.
Olga did a great job.
I have a
Yeah.
Oh, we have more parting words.
I have a sign off on all my streams that I say every
Nice,
time.
son of a bitch.
No, we'll workshop that. We'll workshop that. But it is be excellent to everyone you meet, because everyone is fighting a hard battle, and sometimes you can't see it. And I say that 5 times a week. This is a sign off on my streams, and I honestly mean it. Just whoever you are interacting with, just be nice to them. It's not hard, costs you 0 money, and it is free 99 to smile at the person you're talking to and enjoy
Free 99.
the space. Yeah, be kind. Be kind. Just be nice. Come on, it's not that hard. Really.
You stole that from me. Also,
Really?
like having a musical theater degree. But like just spread kindness. Be nice. You kind of what you said. Like you never know what somebody's going through. So just be nice.
But also, and this is somewhat contradictory, also be selfish in the sense that
You can be nice and be selfish at the same
end
time.
of being selfish, but like there is an extent to selfishness that is actually incredibly healthy, which is not extending yourself beyond your limits.
Yeah.
Because if you are spreading yourself thin, then you cannot, you do not have the capacity.
It's also being nice to yourself.
Yes, it's being nice
Right?
to yourself. And it may feel selfish, but embrace that, because sometimes you just have to be able to say no and like sit on the couch at night, and that's important. That's important.
Saying yes to something means you're saying no to something else.
That's
Like,
true.
right?
And sometimes you're saying yes to like, oh man, my cat really wants to cuddle on the couch, and I have to say
And your
yes
cat's
to him.
important.
The cat's very important.
Good vibes.
Good vibes. Good vibes.
I think that's like the total summation of like everything. Just good
I had to
vibes.
summarize
All right. Just another round of applause for these amazing voice actors. All right, thank you all for coming. So don't forget, these amazing, lovely people are going to be out in the theater foyer today, signing stuff. They have a lot of really cool merch with them, so don't be afraid to check it out. Also, don't be afraid to check out the rest of the TGX event. We'll be going today and tomorrow from 12 to 8 p.m. Take a look at your pamphlet. It has all of the times for different signings, different events, what have you. And thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming.
And thank you to everyone who stayed.